Benja's feeding our broodstock. At the moment we're resting these females. They came out of their production pond about 2 weeks ago. Is that right, Benj?
Yeah.
2 weeks ago. And they are just resting. So you breed them in a pond with males. These are the females. And then you allow them to recuperate. So this Happa has got, these have been resting since November, you said. So they've had 2 months. They haven't bred yet. You can see them there. And we will, in about 2 weeks, we're going to put them for breeding. So as Benj does that, I'll just talk you through what we're going to do. So these female fish are F21, so that means they're the second generation, and we will cross them with F1, which is the first generation of males. And you're doing these crosses because you're trying to maintain a bit of genetic diversity. You don't want to be crossing the wrong sibling groups, essentially. So you do different generations and then you keep that diversity. So then what we'll do is in 2 weeks' time, so we've just taken those females that have just come out, we've taken them out of this pond, and we're now, 2 weeks ago this was empty, harvested it, we've got the fry, which are in that lighter shade of green, that Happa. Put the parents in separate Happas. The males are over there in that big pond. And then we're slowly refilling it. So in 2 weeks' time, this water level will be a bit higher because it's the dry season at the moment. So it takes a while to fill up. And we'll transfer those females into here, put some males in, and then breed them. So that's essentially how you run a hatchery. Now it's very important because we're a small scale hatchery. Okay, so we're not aiming for supply. We don't want to supply cages, for instance, which would need tens of thousands of individuals. We're hoping to supply farmers that are producing 500, 200,000, 4,000, something like that. We also need to fill up our ponds with about, well, depending on the size of the pond, but around 3,000 individuals. So that's the sort of numbers we're looking at every month. So you need to work this management system out so that your broodstock, as it's called, isn't being overbred, and so you give the males and females time to rest, recuperate, produce eggs, produce sperm, but also so that they can put on weight, produce more eggs, etc. And then the other point that you're really trying to do is long term, you have to be careful that you don't inbreed, which we know about because it's a problem. So you have to be very careful with what you're breeding so you know that you have the right crosses. I can see Benjamin over there. I think he's about to go and feed some of the fingerlings. So he's got his stick. Yeah, you can see his stick. So that's, of course, powder, because we're feeding this powder, because the fingerlings are like the size of your finger, they're tiny. Even smaller, they come out as fry, really, really tiny. And their mouths are so small, of course, they can't swallow a pellet, which is 2mm. So they bigger fish, of course, we can give them 2mm, give them BSFL. But we try to do this because this is optimized for them. And we'll put the feed in here. So how much are you putting in, Benjamin?
Around is like estimate around 2 grams on
2 grams of 1 gram, yeah. So we put that in because they're tiny, tiny, and then we're feeding them multiple times per day. As they get older, you can feed them less, but it's like babies. You've got to feed them a lot and little. And so they'll come up, and you might be able to see some ripples on the surface. It might be difficult to catch on the camera, and then we feed them. So he's tipping it up. And you can see, you can see that? I can see it. Let me see, zoom in a bit. You see that's them coming up. Look at all those ripples, that's them eating. So these are 2 weeks old?
these ones, yeah.
These are 2 weeks. And what size do you think they might be?
Now they're around 0.3, 0.2.
0.3, but 0.2.
Yeah.
So we were talking to some other hatcheries, and they will often supply fingerlings at 0.3 to some people. Now, let me tell you about this. So if you are a farmer and you want to save on cost, you will go for a 0.3 gram fish, and they can be sold for like 50 to 60 shillings. Now, the issue is, when fish are that small, they don't survive as well in cages or ponds. It's much harder in a pond. It's much harder for them to feed, like because they've got to break the water surface or to swim up. There's also more worry about them being predated, so something might come and eat them. There is one advantage though of that size fish, is they need a lot less oxygen. So if you're going to transport them a really long way, normally you put them in a bag with oxygen, they will survive a lot longer in a bag. So for some farmers, it's not that they're trying to save money, they're trying to make sure a lot of their fingerlings survive the trip. They don't want them to die on the way. However, what we do here at RAD is we always tell farmers we want to sell fingerlings as big as possible. So we aim for about 2 grams, and we sell at 200 shillings per piece. And if I had my way, we would sell at 5 grams, 10 grams. But farmers don't always want to wait that long. Because that's actually the other point, is that we tell farmers you've got to wait. And sometimes they really insist and press us and say, no, I want my fingerlings now, even if they're small. The reason we want them to wait is not that we're trying to be difficult, but we want their fingerlings to survive so they're more successful. And as a business, it makes sense for us, because then, of course, they're more successful and then they get repeat business. So a bit of a balancing act when you're looking at fingerling sizes and things like that. So we'll grow these out for how much longer now?
These ones are going to grow them we are going to grow them in Happa around 3 months. They will be around 1.5 to 2 grams or maximum 3 grams. Then we shall stock them in this pond and feed them for more 6 months and get as of Broodstock.
Right, perfect. So that's, you want bigger fingerlings. It takes more time. You've got to spend a bit more effort doing it, but you'll have a better survival rate. And as Ben was saying, we will probably use them in here in our own production this particular cycle, because of course we also need to produce fish ourselves.
Yeah.
This is the second Happa with another 2,500. You can see the response rate is great. So we're feeding these quite consistently, about five times a day, depending on the feed rate. They've just been fed, so this is like a second one, just for you on camera, so you can see. So that's why it's not as strong. So that this lot, this generation, and that generation in there, and then those fish will act as our future broodstock, and we will use them. So we'll do some selection on them. So what that means is, by the time they get a bit bigger, so around June, which will be 6 months, 5 months, something like that, we can start to select for the types of characteristics we want in the fish. So we might pick a bigger fish, one that looks a bit healthier, whether the weight, because we're trying to do it for food for the table, so whether weight is more on the body, so you're looking at the shape. Anything that's sickly, of course, we don't use. So those are the type of characteristics you choose, and then that, out of the 5,000 fingerlings that we have here, we will end up with a generation that we will call our broodstock, and then we can breed that with some other, the we'll call the hatchery, where we're going to go to after this. We'll breed that with those individuals. So you're trying to keep them separate. So then you keep your breeds associated. And at some point, we'll probably bring in some other tilapia from other parts of the country that show good potential, so that we can keep our genetic profile boosted. What's exciting is that we are creating a breed of tilapia specifically for ponds and specifically for this part of the world. There's no hatcheries within 8 hours, 400 kilometers from us. This is a cooler part of the world, so fish behave differently because the water is colder. And also, most of the hatcheries are focused on cages, and so cages are very different from ponds. So we're creating quite a unique breed this side, and we really hope it will benefit our farmers. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed that short overview of our hatchery and what we do. Thanks for watching. Do you want to say goodbye to everybody?
Bye.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.